Good morning, everyone. Simgaget, Sigidamanak, Kibitwiltsik. My name is Melanie Mark. My Niska name's Lahaikwiskak, and I'm very proud to be the MLA for Vancouver Mount Pleasant, the first First Nations woman to serve in BC's Legislative Assembly and Cabinet, and proud to be the Minister for Tourism, Arts, Culture and Sport. I'd like to acknowledge the beautiful traditional unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish and Tsleil-Waututh Nations. I'm proud to be Niska, Gitxsan, Cree and Ojibwe, and it's my honor to be here. As an Indigenous person and an intergenerational survivor of residential school, my grandparents attended St. Michael's, Brandon and Elk Lake. And I take pride to stand here as a granddaughter of those that went to residential school, and to acknowledge all of the elders and the intergenerational survivors who are joining us today. Today, we are here to learn about a unique partnership that embodies allyship in advance of National Truth and Reconciliation Day, the first National Truth and Reconciliation Day. It is people and organizations taking meaningful action to acknowledge, educate, and do better moving forward. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge all who have traveled from afar to be with us today. From Williams Lake, we have Phyllis Webb, Chief Roseanne Kashmer of the Tk'emlúps, Secwépemc First Nation. From Alert Bay, Corrine Hunt, and those allies who are standing together with us in spirit. I would also like to take a moment to thank BC Place for hosting us and following all the protocols and having us here at the stadium for this important announcement. I will now invite Chief Jen Thomas, Tsleil-Waututh Nation, from the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh Nations to lead us in the territorial welcome and prayer. And I would also like to acknowledge Chief Wayne Sparrow, who is with us this morning on this very special occasion.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome. I just want to thank the BC Lions organizations and everybody else who's involved in acknowledging the three nations here in the Lower Mainland. Thank you. Welcome to the unceded territories of the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish territory. I'm honored to be standing here with you guys all today. Thank you.
Tuxiasm Chief, thank you for being here and reminding us of the importance of protocol. Sorry. So we're here to talk about Orange Shirt Day. The BC Lions, together with the Ending Violence Association of BC, had the inspiration to want to raise awareness about orange shirts and show respect for Canada's first ever National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. Taking the leadership, BC Lions and EVA BC reached out to Phyllis Webb, the founder and ambassador for the Orange Shirt Day, and Secwépemc Chief Casimir from Tk'emlúps and Secwépemc. This partnership is an example of paddling together on the path to reconciliation. It is my honor to introduce Phyllis Webb. I thought she lived in Victoria, because that's where I see her all of the time, inviting MLAs and the community to come together to talk about Orange Shirt Day. It is my honor to introduce her. It is my honor to paddle with her, because her voice is so important. Please welcome Phyllis Webb.
Wade Cohoidip, Phyllis Webb Renquest, Stracham Chatlam Slakwin. Hello, everybody. My name is Phyllis Webstad. I'm from the Kennew Creek Dog Creek First Nation. We are Secwépemc or Shuswap in the Williams Lake area. Orange Shirt Day started in September of 2013, was the first year when the TRC came to Williams Lake, and I was able to tell my orange shirt story for the first time. I grew up with my grandmother because my mother could not care for me. So I lived with my grandmother for the first 10 years of my life, and then my auntie took me. But my grandmother was the first generation to attend. All of her 10 children attended as well, and myself and my cousin, her 2 eldest grandchildren. So I'm the 3rd generation to attend. My grandmother took me to town, to Williams Lake, to buy me something new to wear. Even though she knew it would be taken away, she made sure that we looked our best. And when I got to St. Joseph Mission Residential School, about 20 minutes out of Williams Lake, my orange shirt was taken and I never wore it again. That's the story that I told when the TRC came to Williams Lake in 2013. This partnership here is a dream come true for me. In 2013, the BC Lions, for the first couple of years, 2014, somewhere, maybe it was 2014, 2015, but for 2 years in a row, gave us these little footballs to give out in Williams Lake and 100 Mile. We wanted them every year, but our luck ran out after 2 years. But we got footballs like this, and when I seen the football, it was a dream for me, an idea that I had that maybe survivors and their families could go to one of these football games and be honored there. And they could know about what happened to us and bring that to a lot of people by doing that. So this is, and I'll try not to cry, it's a dream come true for me to have survivors and their families honored at the September 24th game in a few days, and I look forward to coming back to Vancouver again, to be there and to witness that. And I probably won't have a dry eye the entire time. But Gukshjam, thank you to everyone, to the BC Lions for doing this and honoring our survivors and their families. We've been through a lot, and it's good to have something positive and fun. Sometimes we need to do that. We can't always be crying. So Gukshjam, thank you.
You're right, we can't always be crying, but we can take action. And that's what the TRC is. It's an invitation to take action. Now I'd like to introduce Chief Casimir. You and your community have shown incredible generosity, leadership, strength at a very challenging time. I was up in your community with my daughter to honor the children. And just want to thank you. And I hope that people are around you lifting you up, because you're not alone. Please join me, Chief, to say a few words. Thank you very much.
First of all, I am truly, truly honored to be here with each and every single one of you. And, you know, to me, I'm just very proud of this partnership. I'm very proud of the solidarity and the unity. So why Secwépemc? My name is Roseanne Kashmer, and I am the elected chief for Tk'emlúps to Secwépemc. I am truly, truly honored to be here and joining all of you. Thank you for the protocol and starting us off in a good way, and the land acknowledgement. on the unceded ancestral lands of the traditional territories of the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and the Squamish. After years of silence and disbelief, Tk'emlúps Indian Residential School survivors' first-hand knowledge about the deaths of children in the residential school has been confirmed through scientific GPR, which is leading to further investigations and collaborative efforts with the announcements made from the provincial and the federal governments and working with us. We are all here today in honor of the Liskway, the missing children who may have experienced unthinkable circumstances leading to their death and whose remains were placed in unmarked graves. We are here today to support each other in mapping that path forward. I stand here today strong because of the immense support that both I and our community has received since May 27th. It brought all of us as a community and a nation together in a good way, just like our ancestors did prior to residential school. And for the first time, so many of our people, so many of our First Nations are sharing statements like, they're actually listening to me. They actually want to know. They sat and they listened to me. They want to hear my story. People are looking at me differently. The awakening of many of our children being found in these unmarked graves impacted everyone, nationally and globally. Our children brought us together, and our ancestors, our elders, and our survivors. So let us all be the ones to make this world a better place for all our children, and give them the hope that today and tomorrow we continue to walk in solidarity. As every child does matter, we must define reconciliation and want to reconcile the past to give our future generations a path forward. We extend our deep appreciation to the BC Lions and to the Ending the Violence Association of BC, along with Phyllis Webb, representing the Indian Residential Schools of Canada, for standing in solidarity with the Tk'emlúps de Secwépemc. And very honored to be here as well with Minister Mark and Horgan. Very honored. All those impacted have been impacted during this time of heart-wrenching truths. This truly is a unique way that we stand here together to not only acknowledge, but stand in solidarity to bring awareness to Orange Shirt Day and residential school survivors and the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. So being here with Phyllis Webb, the BC Lions, and the Ending the Violence Association of BC means so much. Also, it gives me hope and inspiration that all of us are getting an example of how various platforms and participation can make such a big difference. We have so many reasons to be united, and more than Tk'emlúps de Secwépemc's 215, Cowess's 751, and over 600 at Maryville Indian Residential School, and the 160 at Tk'emlúps Tribe in BC. I am so thankful for the inner strength and the fortitude that I have witnessed Indigenous people draw upon and continue forward despite the current and the historic impacts. We are united for all our children, and every child does matter. September 30th is now federally recognized as National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, and a reminder that by wearing orange, we are walking in solidarity. So Kuksjachum, and Yakwishtuk, take care of yourselves.
hope everyone brought their Kleenex. Thank you, Chief, for your leadership and your words, and especially to remind us of hope. That's why I talk about my grandparents, because they hoped that we would have a brighter future, that our kids would have a brighter future. And I am a crier, because every day I go to work to try to make things better. And so when you talk about a partnership, what are the chances of a partnership between Fortis, BC Hydro, the BC Lions, the BC government, Ending Women's Violence Association, the Leader for Orange Shirt Day, a survivor of residential school, coming together at BC Place? This is a human rights movement, and I want to invite someone who's been fighting for the rights of women and ending violence against women and ending the systemic injustices that happen to missing, murdered Indigenous women and girls, predominantly across this country. Please welcome the Executive Director, Nina Kang. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Marks. As you can all imagine, profoundly humbled to be with such esteemed leaders here and the leadership of our Premier. Feels like this is the right time in our history when we're all together and things are going to change. And I hope the sustainability of this change lasts. I've been living on these lands for nearly 40 years. I've always identified myself as an immigrant, and terms that I've used to identify myself has been Indo-Canadian, South Asian, Canadian. Grew up here, was 9 years old when I came from India and grew up here and went to school here primarily, and don't remember one thing that I learned about what happened to Indigenous people in our school system. I don't remember. I was ESL, that was my identity. However, I continue to have privilege on these stolen lands where I got a chance to live, flourish, go to school, now find myself as an executive director of a provincial organization. I'm humbled and perhaps embarrassed at the same time. Ending Violence Association of British Columbia envisions and work towards a world free of violence and hate. We know from our work that the Indigenous people of these lands have experienced profound and disproportionately severe violence in society. We know this. We have heard from Indigenous leaders. We have heard from you. We hear you when you tell us that first comes truth and then reconciliation, and they both need to be in place in order for us to move forward. Wearing orange honors the survivors and the intergenerational survivors of the Indian residential school system and acknowledges the true impacts that continues today. This event brings awareness of the important work that we all need to do to learn and then act on the recommendations of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. We are truly grateful to have the opportunity to bring this partnership to life. And of course, I offer my deep respect and gratitude to all the partners here and out in the audience. Thank you.
There's a lot of notes here. There's a powerhouse lineup of people that I got to introduce, including George Chaika from the BC Lions. See, you never know who is going to be an ally. Tracy Porteous, the former executive director at Ending Violence Association, called me and said, Minister Mark, we have an idea, we have a dream. And then we got flanked by George, Premier, and I, and Premier will talk more about that, about his dream. They can say more about their dream. I'm just a facilitator. And I'm here to introduce George, who's been leading the BC Lions, who's a champion. He's going to talk about the vision and what's going to happen here as we tear down this house. No more singing for me, no more lion songs for me. I made my debut. I'm kidding. I will proudly sing the roar song with you. But please welcome George Shaika from the BC Lions.
Thank you, Minister Mark, and welcome everyone. It's a great day today. The BC Lions have represented the province of British Columbia in the Canadian Football League for 67 years. We've won 6 Grey Cup championships. We've entertained millions of fans throughout British Columbia as well as across Canada. We're also the longest running professional sports organization in British Columbia. And as an organization, one of the pillars of our brand is to help build better communities. And that's why we're proud to lend our support in helping to create and raise awareness for National Truth and Reconciliation Day, also known as Orange Shirt Day, on September 30th. When I first saw the news story at the end of May with regards to the confirmation of the 215 unmarked graves at Tk'emlúps Residential School, I, like a lot of Canadians, felt sadness. And to be honest, for myself personally, I felt disgust and I felt anger that this did happen. You know, I think that's the reality of finding the truth in a situation like this and the need for healing and reconciliation. I'd never really heard of Orange Shirt Day other than my affiliation with Orange as an employee of the BC Lions for the past 28 years. When I saw there was an Orange Shirt Day movement on the news that same evening, I thought there's got to be something that we can do. And Minister Mark touched on an email that I received the next morning from Tracy Porteous, former director of the executive director of the Ending Violence Association of BC, and a friend of hers had reached out because they were aware of the work that we've done with our Be More Than a Bystander program in partnership with EVA for the last 10 years. And wanted to know if the BC Lions might be interested in doing something. I said, yes, we are interested. Let me talk to my management team. And, you know, in looking up Orange Shirt Day, I came across the story of Phyllis Webb and how this all started in Williams Lake in 2013. And I thought to myself, that's a story that more people in British Columbia and across Canada need to hear. The fact that it started in British Columbia and our colors being orange, and after discussion with our management team as an organization, we felt we could make a difference in creating awareness around National Truth and Reconciliation Day in partnership with the people that are here today. At our game next Friday against the Saskatchewan Roughriders, something special is going to happen. You're going to see both teams wearing orange spatting tape, the BC Lions and the Saskatchewan Roughriders, to help raise and promote awareness around National Truth and Reconciliation Day on September 30th. Our game against Saskatchewan has even more meaning with the confirmation of the 751 more unmarked graves on the Tk'emlúps First Nation just outside of Regina. At the game on September 24th, we'll be providing 350 tickets to residential school survivors and their families, as well as our other Aboriginal partners that are going to be with us that day. We will also be making a $20,000 donation to the Orange Shirts Society to support their 2021 campaign. All of this is possible through the support of our partners, and we'd like to thank the province of BC, Fortis BC, and BC Hydro. I really want to thank our sponsors for making this event a reality, and we have some of those representatives here today. Representing Fortis, BC, and joining us here today, I'd like to thank and acknowledge Roger Dall'Antonia, President and CEO of Fortis, along with Vanessa Connolly, Director of Community and Indigenous Relations. Thank you. Representing BC Hydro, I'd like to thank and acknowledge Chris O'Reilly, President and CEO, as well as Doug Allen, Chair of the Board for BC Hydro. Thank you, gentlemen. And of course, representing the province of BC, a special thank you to Premier Horgan for your support and Minister Mark for your support for this event. It's great to have partners like you, like everyone here, and to Ninu from the Ending Violence Association of BC, Chief Casimir from the Tk'emlúps Nation, Phyllis Webb from the Orange Shirt Society. You ladies say you're honored to be here with us. We're honored to be with you standing here today. So thank you very much. And I'd also like to thank Jamie Terrace, our Director of Community Partnerships, for all of his work in helping to get us to this day. We've also created a commemorative t-shirt for this event with special thanks to renowned First Nation artist Corrine Hunt, who lent her talents to this project. And if you know or have heard of the name Corrine Hunt, Corrine actually designed the Olympic medals for the 2010 Vancouver Olympics here in British Columbia. And you know, when our fans see our logo, they get excited, and that's the power of sports marketing. Because the passion that our fans have for their team transcends to our partners. And we hope that all our fans across British Columbia, as well as CFL fans across Canada, appreciate this First Nations rendition of our logo in support of raising awareness around National Truth and Reconciliation Day on September 30th. The t-shirt features Corrine Hunt's First Nation rendition of the BC Lions logo, and without further ado, I'd like everyone to see the logo as we unveil it now. So I'm now going to call on Corrine Hunt to come up here and say a few words. Thank you.
Gela Kesla, Gigame, Gela Kesla, the Tsleil-Waututh, the Squamish, and the Musqueam Nation, our brothers and sisters. Gela Kesla to Phyllis for being who she is. She's a fantastic, wonderful person who has allowed her heart to emanate here and bring awareness to this important thing. Nugwam Gilas Leglis, Gaiklin Lach, Yalis, Blue, Sakis. I grew up in Alert Bay, next to one of the huge residential schools, St. Mike's. Small island, big monolithic building. It was horrible. And I was there at the end of this residential school, but I knew kids who went there from Haida Gwaii and Bella Bella. They were away from their homes, and it was horrible. It was horrible to see them without their families. But I was told, I did an exhibition in Alert Bay about residential schools, and one survivor told me that in the 40s, my great-grandmother, she baked goods for them, and she fed them on Saturdays treats, and that was an act of kindness that they needed. When I was asked to do the redesign of the logo for Orange Shirt Day, I was honored. And the first iteration I did, it was a little soft because I wanted to represent the children, and I wanted them, to cuddle them. And then it was thought maybe it needs to be a little more forceful. Maybe the lion needs to roar. So that's what I did. And the idea that 10,000 people will be wearing this in the stadium, 10,000 people will be roaring. They will be saying, give us peace, give us compassion, give us love. And that's what I hope for this day and every day, and that we recognize that this is the only way forward. you know, to move with love and peace and compassion. And when we see the orange shirt, we know that this is our path. And I'd like to thank the province of British Columbia, George and his wonderful work with the BC Lions. It's been an amazing time for me. I feel so honored to be a part of this, even if it's a small part. But Gela Kiasla.
Premier John Horgan stood with me the day that I got elected, and we brought the drum into the Legislative Assembly, the People's House, for the first time. He means a lot to me because he takes the call to action like Grand Chief Stuart Phillip told him to do. It takes guts to move on reconciliation. And as an elected official, this is why I got into politics, is to make people's lives better so that we can thrive, that we can have hope. So it is my honor to introduce Premier John Horgan, the leader of this province, to say a few words.
Thank you, Melanie, for getting us started in a good way. Chief Sparrow, Chief Thomas, thank you for allowing us on your traditional ancestral unceded territory. It is a real honor for me to be here on a stage with a woman of such great commitment in Phyllis, a woman of extraordinary artistic ability in Corrine, the grace and perseverance through extraordinary trauma in recent times with Rosanne. And of course, Nina and I went to the same high school in Victoria, at many decades apart, but we went to the same high school. And I want to rest on that for a moment, because Reynolds High School in Victoria in the 1970s became the place where Ahousaht children came when the Ahousaht residential school was shut down. Now, I was a teenager at the time, and I had no with children from the Saanich and Sauk nations. It was normal for me growing up to be around Indigenous children. So it was not a surprise, except for the number who all came from Port Alberni. They weren't identified as Ahousaht, they were identified as coming from Port Alberni. And it was through sport, interestingly, as we stand here with partners in the BC Lions, it was through sport that I became acquainted with Greg Louie. Greg Louie and I played basketball together. 40 years later, Greg Louie became the chief of the Ahousaht, and I became the Premier of British Columbia. And both of us thought that was the most ironic thing that could have possibly happened to the two of us when we used to laugh and smile and joke as children at Reynolds High School. But it was that relationship 40 years ago and the opportunities to meet courageous Indigenous leaders and regular people in communities across British Columbia and indeed across Canada that crystallized for me the importance of the calls to action from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. It crystallized for me the importance of ensuring that the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples became the law, not just in British Columbia, but in Canada, because of the way Indigenous people have been treated as a result of colonialism, and every day since the arrival of Europeans so many, many centuries ago. So to be here today in this beautiful building with corporate sponsors who were ready, willing, and able to step up and support an initiative that started with the courage and persistence of a woman from Williams Lake back in 2013, that was crystallized by the recommendations and the calls to action from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, but was brought home for not just British Columbians and Canadians and indeed the world. The revelations from Tk'emlúps and Secwépemc territory, and how Rosanne, Chief Casimir, led a movement, not just in BC, not just in Canada, but indeed around the world, to recognize the basic human rights of Indigenous peoples. I have 2 university degrees in history. I grew up in British Columbia in the K-12 system. I did not learn about residential schools until an elder told me in tears in a gymnasium in Cowichan Territory in 2006. We need to change that. The revelations coming out of Tk'emlúps and Secwépemc Territory have changed that. And the events of today with the BC Lions, who are older than me, joining with groups like Ending Violence Against Women, joining with corporate sponsors, joining with these powerful women and the awesomeness of Melanie Mark to say from this day forward, we will always remember on the 30th of September that every child matters. On the 30th of September, we will always remember what happened in Canada. We will not turn our backs on our history. We will embrace it, we will learn from it, and we will be better people and a better country and better citizens as a result. I am so honored to be here today. And before I start going down Melanie's, stumbling and stammering, I'm going to stop and pass the ball back to her, and we'll carry on from there. Haishko CM, to everyone who came here today, we can never forget our past, but we can always make our future better. Today is a start in that direction. Thank you very much.
So who would have thought that a girl from the projects would become the minister responsible for sport? And that I would be here at BC Place with the BC Lions, Phyllis Webb to share, and I'm just going to summarize it. Orange is the happiest color. Look it up. And to make Phyllis's dreams come true, we are going to fill this house and we are going to roar with all of our hearts for those children that didn't make it home from school. And we are going to stand up in solidarity and remember that every child matters. The Truth and Reconciliation's calls to action is an invitation for British Columbians and Canadians. Justice Murray St. Clair said, education got us into this mess, and education is going to get us out. So please, step up, read the 94 calls to action. There's only 10,000 shirts. I want to acknowledge Corrine and the importance, because I'm also the Minister for Arts, the power of art, the power of expression, the power of making a statement. That when you wear your orange shirt, you are making a statement. That the truth of those children is going to be honored, not just on the 24th, but on the 30th. And as the Premier said, and Phyllis said, for every day moving forward until we make things better for the generations to come. And sorry, I just can't help but think if my grandparents were here, what it would mean to them to honor what hell they went through going to residential school. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. The best I can say is paddle together in the power of partnerships. Cheers. I'm going to leave it to the Premier, I think, right? We're not doing questions. We're just saying thank you. Thank you for being here. Hawa, Tuxism.